So, what does it take to build something that seems, well, impossible? Today, we're going to dive deep into the absolutely incredible engineering story behind Deep Dive Dubai. This is a project that didn't just bend the rules of physics, it pretty much threw the rulebook out the window to create a true modern marvel.
Okay, let's just jump right in, because this story is so much more than just concrete and steel. It's really a story about a last-minute, heart-stopping crisis that almost completely destroyed this multi-million-dollar mega project right when they thought they were at the finish line.
And to really get what happened, you have to go back to the beginning. You have to go to Dubai, a city that is totally, completely obsessed with being the biggest, the tallest, the first, a city that just lives for world records.
I mean, they've got over 425 Guinness World Records already. The vision for this next one came straight from Dubai's crown prince, Sheikh Hamdan, and he didn't just want another record to add to the pile. He wanted something totally unique.
But it wasn't just about being the deepest. The design had to actually mean something. You see, it had to honor Dubai's rich history of pearl diving, which, believe it or not, was the backbone of their entire economy before oil. And that's why the whole structure was designed to look like a giant open seashell. So right away, the team hits this massive fork in the road, building a 45-meter-tall structure above ground. Kind of straightforward. But there's a rule. To get the official Guinness World Record for the deepest pool, it has to be, you guessed it, in the ground. To get the record, they couldn't build up. They had to dig down. And that one single decision kicked off one of the most ridiculously difficult excavation projects you can imagine. We're talking about a 3-year war against sand, against rock, and against a relentless, never-ending flow of water.
So check this out. Before they could even think about digging the main hole, they first had to build a massive 45-meter-deep concrete retaining wall, and they built it from the outside in, piece by painful piece, creating this thing called a diaphragm wall. It was the only thing that would stop all that sand and earth from just collapsing inward.
But as soon as they started digging inside that finished wall, a new enemy showed up: groundwater. Just pushing its way through every single tiny, microscopic gap in the concrete. It was relentless. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It took over 3 years of non-stop work, and for 2 of those years, they were pumping out water 24/7 just to create a stable, empty, 45-meter deep hole. And get this, the actual construction of the pool hadn't even started yet. So after all that mind-boggling effort, the team is finally ready. They're about to start building this incredible sunken city inside the pool, and then disaster strikes. The entire reason for the project just vanished.
News came in from Poland. Another company working in total secret had just opened a diving pool called Deep Spot, and its depth, exactly 45 meters. In one single moment, 3 years of work and millions of dollars resulted in a pool that would only tie the world record. It wouldn't break it.
But they didn't quit. Instead, the team got a new and what sounded like a totally impossible mandate directly from the Crown Prince himself. The project wasn't canceled, it just had to go deeper.
But digging another 15 meters wasn't just about, digging more. Oh no, it created this terrifying new physics problem, one that threatened to literally push the entire 45,000-ton structure right out of the ground.
I know. It sounds completely insane, right? How on earth could a giant concrete pool just pop out of the ground? Well, it's all about the immense pressure from all that groundwater. It created a risk that was almost unbelievable. Let me explain.
It's a little something called buoyancy force. And when you're 60 meters deep, with groundwater pushing from every possible direction, the upward force on this massive, empty concrete shell would have been, well, astronomical.
Think of it like this. The empty pool was basically a giant sealed bottle, and the groundwater all around it was like the water in a bathtub, constantly trying to push that bottle right up to the surface. So, how do you fight physics? Well, the engineers came up with this brilliant 2-part plan. First, they made the new, deeper shaft narrower. That gave the water less surface area to push against. Smart, right? But then, they drilled these massive anchors deep into the bedrock underneath the pool, literally bolting the whole thing to the planet. Okay, so the 60-meter shaft is finally complete. But now, the clock is ticking. Every single second that pool stayed empty, that incredible buoyancy force was trying to rip it from the ground. It was a ticking time bomb.
To fight back against that force, they had to fill it with 14 million liters of water, and they had to do it fast. The city's regular water supply? That would have taken 3 months. Way too long. So they brought in a fleet of over 100 water tankers working around the clock, just to cut that fill time down to 1 month. But filling the pool was only half the battle. Even as the water level was rising, the work inside was still going on. They were still building out the sunken city when they hit another totally unexpected problem. Some of the props they'd installed started to float. They had to scramble, drilling holes and adding weights just to keep everything on the bottom.
Finally, after years of setbacks, a secret competitor, and a literal battle against the laws of physics, the project was complete. The world record was finally and definitively secure.
And the result is just staggering. A 60-meter deep pool holding 14 million liters of water. That's like 6 Olympic-sized pools. It's filtered every 6 hours by a system they developed with NASA, and it's kept at a perfect 30 degrees Celsius. It is so much more than a pool. It's a true marvel of modern engineering. So what did all this cost? Well, the official number has never been released. The government simply calls it a priceless project, which really tells you everything you need to know about its status as a one-of-a-kind national icon. And it just leaves you wondering, when you factor in the years of work, the near catastrophes, the unbelievable ingenuity it took to solve these problems, what really is the true price of pushing the boundaries of what we think is even possible?